Today we're gonna be doing all of the paint and finish work to bring this little guy to life. This is Rachel from VanDolls Folk Art. This is part 2 of a 2-part series where I am making a ornament out of the Handmade Halloween book from Glitterville. If you missed part 1, please feel free to head on back to my channel and watch part 1 of the 2-part series. And if you've already watched part 1 and you're here for part 2, thank you so much for following along with me in part 1. I'm really excited to share with you my take on the butterscream frosting cupcake. If you're new to my channel and you want to see more crafty content, please feel free to subscribe. I post new videos every single week. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them down in the comments. If you have any ideas for upcoming videos, please feel free to leave those in the comments as well. I can't wait to get some paint on this guy. Let's get started. Okay guys, let's get started. The first thing you want to do is take apart your cupcake. Then we're going to grab some white paint and put a base coat on the arms and the legs. You're going to want to make sure you get 2 good coats on both the arms and the legs, just to make sure you cover up all that floral tape. I like to work in color groups, so let's get everything painted on the pumpkin that needs to be white. Let's start out with the handle and paint the tops of all the candies. Let's move on to painting both the eyes and the mouth on our little cupcake. Once we get finished painting all of the white parts on the cupcake, don't forget to remove the top piece so that we can paint the frosting. I chose green because I wasn't a huge fan of the pink. It's Summerween. Let's make a summer pumpkin. The color I'm using is light green by Craftsmart, and you can pick it up at any of your Michaels stores. You're going to want to make sure you get 2 solid coats of paint on the base of your cupcake. Let's move on to the arms and legs. Let's start off by painting the mittens. I chose to paint mine black with a chalkboard paint. Since I like to work in color groups, I'm going to be painting the top of the candy bucket and also begin painting the stripes on the legs. Oh, I almost forgot. I have to paint the stripes on the handle of the bucket. I like the stripe theme of the cupcake in the book, so I'm going to stick with that by using different shades of green. and the color I'm using today is Scottish Highlands by Martha Stewart. I'm still working in those color groups, so while I have the paint out, I'm going to go ahead and paint the stripes on the arms. I'm going to stick with the same theme that they used in the book, but instead I'll be using my green shades. While we have the green paint out, we might as well paint some of the candies in the top of the trick-or-treat bucket. They don't necessarily have to be green. You can really paint them any color you'd like. Let's move on to painting in the eyes. The color I'm using is Ocean Breeze by Craftsmart, which you can also pick up at any local Michaels store. Moving on to the mouth, I'll be using a Martha Stewart paint in the color Habanero. If you're having difficulty painting such fine detail, you can always dip the tip of a colored pencil into the paint and dot it on to make the lines for the shape of the mouth. And now let's paint on those luscious lips. Don't forget, it doesn't have to be perfect. We're making folk art here, so it's okay if it's a little bit wonky. Forgot to paint on the pupils, so let's go ahead and take care of that now. Now it's time to paint the frosting. The color I'm using is a Wild Salmon by Martha Stewart. If you're quick, they have it on clearance right now at Michaels. It's only 87 cents. I decided to use the wild salmon to make some watermelon frosting to keep with that summer-ween pumpkin theme. It's my personal preference, but I decided to highlight all the frosting using a chalk paint in the color Maize. Let's move on to that little treat bucket. I absolutely love this color, Flame Tree by Martha Stewart. Unfortunately, she's discontinued the color, but a lot of my friends out there had sent me lots and lots of bottles of it to keep me going throughout the rest of the year. While I had that orange out, I decided to make a couple of the candies in my bucket look like candy corn. So we'll go ahead and paint those. Oh, we also need to paint the candy corns to decorate the top of our cupcakes frosting. While I had the maize out, I decided to add the yellow stripe to the candy corns in the bucket and also added a little bit of yellow to the candy corns for the top decoration on my cupcake. Let's add the finishing touches to the candy corns in the bucket, and then add the finishing touches to the candy corn to decorate the top of the cupcake. I decided to paint his little booties orange because I hate wasting that color. It's my absolute favorite paint. And while I have the white paint out, I'm going to use the tip of a colored pencil to accent each of the pupils. This wasn't part of the tutorial, but I decided to add some watermelon seeds to the top of the cupcake just so I can use up the rest of that black paint. I'm going to go ahead and highlight all of the watermelon seeds the same way I highlighted the pupils, using a white paint and a colored pencil. Now it's time to assemble our little cupcake friend. I'm using E6000 today to glue everything together, but you can use either tacky glue or hot glue. Either one will work. Start our assembly today by putting on the legs. Place a small amount of glue on each one of the tips of the legs and gently press it into the bottom of your cupcake. Once you got the legs on, it's time to attach those arms. We'll do this the same way we attach the legs by placing a small amount of glue on the tip of each one of the arms and then gently pressing them into the cupcake. Once you get them in, it's time to put the topper on the cupcake so we can attach the ribbon later. Let's make our little friend shine with some sprinkles. Place a small amount of glue on each one of the candy corn and place them wherever you'd like on the top of the frosting. I decided that I wanted one of the candy corn sticking out of the top of the frosting, so I just smashed a small hole into the top with my sculpting tool and then placed the candy corn in with a little bit of glue. Okay, now it's time to put on that mask. I wasn't a huge fan of the way that the mask looked on my particular cupcake, so I decided to make my own. To make my own, I measured the distance from either side of the cupcake's face, from the left side to the right side of the eyes, and then I took down that measurement and cut it out using my craft foam. Once I got that finished, I made a U shape in the center of the craft foam and lined out the placement of each one of the eyes, and then drew a big circle on either side so that I knew how big my glasses needed to be. You can draw this in any shape that you'd like. I just prefer to use the glasses shape. Once you get that finished, go ahead and cut your shape out and trim it up. I wanted to use scissors to go ahead and cut out the holes for the eyes, but since my scissors were so large, I chose to instead use an X-Acto blade to cut out those shapes. For the arms of the glasses, I just used the remnant from the top from when I cut out the glasses shape. And then I glued on both of the arms using E6000. When I completed my glasses, I set them aside to dry for a few minutes, and then I went ahead and adhered them on to the front of my little cupcake. Okay, let's go ahead and glue together that treat bucket. Put a small amount of glue on each side of the handle and then gently press it into your treat bucket. Now, I had a lot of difficulty trying to figure out how I was supposed to attach the thing to his freaking arm. In the book, it says there's supposed to be a small wire hanging out, but none of the pictures and none of the descriptions on the book told me I needed to leave a small piece of wire hanging out, so I improvised. I used a needle to poke 2 small holes into the hand, cut off a smaller piece of wire, and used that to attach the bucket to the guy's hand. Okay guys, we're almost done. The last thing you need to do is cut off a small piece of ribbon, about 4 or 5 inches or so, melt the ends to check it for fraying, and then tie a knot. Thank you so much for crafting along with me. I had a ton of fun making this little guy. If you guys had any questions on this project or had any difficulties with any of the steps, please feel free to leave them down in the comments. Tag me with your photos of your finished project at VanDolls_folkart on Instagram. If you like this video, please feel free to hit the like button. If you want to see more of this type of content, please feel free to subscribe. I'd love to have you as part of my spooky crew. If you want to see my next Glitterville craft tutorial, I'll be posting that video next week. Thank you again for crafting with me, and I hope you have a spooky day. And I hope you have a spooky day. I hope you have a spooky day. I don't know.